And so welcome to another in our Nav Life series. The Navigating Life series is a presentation of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. And the intention, the goal of this series, which predates COVID, so you know how long we have been going, is to look at issues that impact our lives. Actually, as it says, how we can help people to navigate life. And whatever challenges that life throws up, we wanted to be able to discuss them in this forum. And so we were face to face, and we went um, online, and we continue. And we actually meet every first and third Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Jamaica time. And we have dealt with a cross section of issues. And at this point in time, we are narrowing down, putting a little bit more focus on the issue of conflict, especially in the context of the widespread abuse of women, children, elderly, the more vulnerable in our society. Even if you think about it, the street people who, they throwing stones, dropping bricks on their heads, this sort of thing. So when a society um, maltreats its most vulnerable, something is wrong. And that's part of why the church is here. And some of these issues are not issues that we would present in a sermon. And so this is a forum for interactive discourse where we present issues of moment to people and to see how we can help our members and the wider society navigate life through life. And so we thank you. We invite you, please, putting it up front, so we put the advertising up front, that if you get benefit from this, share. The link will be the same link, and we will meet every first and third Saturday at the same time to discuss matters of great moment in our lives. So one of our faithful participants, Sherry, she also predated COVID. Um, Used to travel all the way from, I won't tell you where because I don't want anybody to know our business, but travel a long distance to come to participate with us. Right. So today, we want to deal with the issue of how to develop low conflict relationships, secrets to living in peace. So, one of the questions that came up is this an oxymoron? Why would I want to have a conflict at all? Low conflict relationship. So, the issue is, as we know, conflict is inevitable. Conflict exists. As a matter of fact, conflict can even be positive. For example, if I am being motivated to sign up for a course that would enhance my career and I'm reluctant, I'm scared, and I've been, encouraged by my partner to do it, that's conflict, but that's good conflict. So conflict is inevitable. The issue, and those of you who participated in the last session will know that we discussed high conflict relationships, and we even defined what that meant. That was really people going at each other every minute. It's a spat. So what we want to look at are relationships that are not conflict free, because that's not possible, but surely we want to be able to manage the conflict. So what the key that we want to understand as well is that conflicts will arise. And so it's a question of how we manage them. But I've gone way ahead of myself. I'm supposed to do some work beforehand, which is to introduce our presenters and all of that kind of things. So forgive my excitement. Okay, so some housekeeping. We're going to ask you if you can keep your mics muted unless you are recognized to speak. So that's one of the things. I think people have got so used to Zoom now that those kinds of housekeeping probably not so necessary. All right, you can actually raise your hand as well. This is one of the sessions. Some of the sessions we prefer to give you the information and then have the discourse. At the end, this is one of the mixed ones where, within reason, we would encourage you. If you have an issue that is burning, we might not deal with it at the precise time, but we will make a note. But if you have something that's germane to what it is that we're speaking about, then sure. Okay. Um, and then our presenters. Gentleman, the good looking one on the left, of my screen anyway, is um, Brother Andre Allen Casey. And by now, again, we soon get to the point now where we don't even have to introduce him because everybody will know him. Brother Andre Allen Casey um, is one of the country's foremost counseling psychologists, even at his young age, believe me. He is in demand. I'm not reading the script. I'm just telling you from my heart. This is a gentleman that I have known for a long, long time in different roles, different relationships. Man that our family has a very, very high regard for. Um, I also am part of the family, so I also have a very high regard for him. Um, Man that on wears his Christianity out front, wherever, whatever he does. And as I said, he's one of the foremost counseling psychologists here. He's studied overseas. Let me read some of it in Heritage Christian University, and he also has a master's in counseling psychology from NCU. So that's Brother Andre. The rambling person that you are hearing, seen on screen, is me. I am CEO of Success with People Academy, InfoServe, and we have been in this domain of human capacity development, helping people to be more productive and to address behavioral issues. We work with extended disc where we do behavioral assessments and help people to understand themselves better and how to relate to others. Yes, on Amazon, if you go to Amazon and you type in Trevor E.S. Smith, you will see some books: Success in Marriage, 7 Keys to a Lasting Relationship. So that's there. And without further ado, we want to just move forward. Okay, so that's not where we should be. So let me take a new share and go here. Brother Andre, you want to say a word before we dive in here?
No, you run with it.
All right. So let's run with it. So all right. So let's look at it. The topic. So just be clear so that I don't get myself in trouble. The announced subject is how to develop low conflict relationships, the secrets to living in peace. All right. But that's obviously is going to be something that is going to engage us for more than one session. So we're going to break it up into pieces. Today, what I want to do is to go back to the whole issue of the conflict, the managing the conflict, um, and the concept of vibes, etc. Why am I saying this? Well, this topic does include managing conflict. It talks about low conflict resolutions, but there is a point that for those of you who have been in the sessions like the Sherries and so on, that you would see that we're saying that if you have unmet needs, which is what we define a conflict as. Remember, in this session, we're not talking about confrontation and fights when we're talking about conflict. So a conflict can be something that reside in me, have nothing to do with anybody else. Those things, wherever conflicts exist, it has the potential to impact relationships. And that's why we want to go back to the core. Sometimes you can deal with things on the surface. Sometimes it's better to go to the core, get the stuff out so that you are in a better position. Yes? So if you have weed in your garden, the lawnmower will cut it, look it all right. But basically, unless you root it out, you still have the weed there. And so we want to go back to the depth, the whole issue then of conflict at its core, whether it is internal, hidden, suppressed, whatever, all of those possibilities that we have discussed. And so we want to look at a very interesting topic this evening, which is the role of vibes. You know, we talk about vibes, but the vibes, this vibes, that, whatever. So I want to look at vibes and to see whether vibes have any impact, any um, potential to affect the way that we live in peace. Can vibes be a doorway to living in peace? Or can it be a steel door that blocks our capacity to live in peace with others? That's where we want to go. All right. Don't hear any objections, so let's do that. But Andre, I'll tell you, just couldn't bother staying there because the vibes are right, you know. It's my spirit never does take it, you know. So yeah. So that's that is something. So let us say parties. I remember in my youth, let's make it clear. That's a very long time ago. Like at New Year's Eve and so on, you would go and look for entertainment sometimes, and then you check, you know, you just say, no, this don't look so right. You move on, etc. So the question is this then: can vibes, you know, what your spirit take or what your spirit don't take, can how important is that? And can it actually go beyond just identifying which party to attend? And can they play a role in whether we enjoy a peaceful life with others or not? That's where we want to go. Join me on this journey. So vibes really, if you want to define it, it would be a term that's used to describe our emotions, our feelings. So basically, that's what it is. When you say the vibes, whatever, what I'm saying is that I don't feel so right, or this don't land so well with me. Yeah, I have a happy emotion or a sad emotion or whatever kind of other emotion that I would have as a result of the situation, and that's the vibes that we're talking about. So let me have a quotation here, which is very good. So emotions are a stunning expression of our energy. Today we want to talk a lot about energy as well, the vibe that we give off. And so these things come by that we recognize it from just intuition. We cannot just feel that something not right. Yes. Um, so I don't know if anybody has this experience, but the spirit tech, you know, Jamaica talks about the spirit not tech, this person or whatever it is. But there's also, well, even now, let us move it out of our circle and look at the movies. When the recruiters, the people who go and find the actors and so on to do the things, can you look at, and when you see the people up front, can you tell who the bad guy is right away? You know, does he look usually when we're talking about, but yeah, you only get a little creepy feeling about him. Yeah, so that's it. And so basically, unfortunately, sometimes we have that experience with people who are not just on the silver screen, but are really in our circle. And some people might say even in their families. Sad. Right. So yeah, so we have some people that give you have a feel good feeling, but you have some people that also are a kind of, yeah, I would prefer not to be around this person. Yeah. People talk about a creepy individual. Yes. So we know about that. And as we are saying, we want to talk a little bit more about energy. It's amazing when you not scare anybody that I've gone off the farm, but when you start to investigate quantum physics and to understand energy. The concept is this that I'm knocking here is energy. All of this is really just energy. Amazing stuff. So everything basically, the whole observation basically is just is energy, energy, energy. So emotional energy is contagious. It can make the difference between a toxic and a healthy relationship. So we understand that. All right. So having set the platform, let us look at this whole question then of emotions and energy. Okay? So, what the science is saying is that emotions is actually the experience of energy moving through our body. So if we are in a stressful state, sad state, etc., there is a feeling of contraction. Yeah, when we sort of get over it and exhale, it's like a load. And we say it, and, it's amazing that some of the language that we use actually, the science is now catching up with the language. Like we said, there's a load off our shoulder. And that's it. Because when we are stressed and so on, we feel as if something is pressing down on us. Once if we find out, my gosh, it's not really true. Or yeah, we have an answer. Then we say, oh boy, a load is taken off my shoulder. The language actually um, is aligned with the science. So yeah, we feel relieved and we feel um, um, like an expanded version of ourselves. Yeah, when the pressure is there, we kind of down, etc. One literally, we are taller when we find that um, things are not as bad as we thought, or things are great. And interestingly, the word emotion actually comes from the Latin that says um, in energy in motion. That's it actually. So that goes back again to the point that even the early people, long before this neuroscience thing, understood that um, when we talk about emotions, is this movement of energy in our body. And this pause at this, the key, that energy, sometimes we pump up and we run and we think that okay, fine, yeah, we're gonna do something, and so we do some jumping jacks or touch our toes. Those are what you can do that in order to pump up. But what they are saying is that really and truly that 70% of our whole, the whole of our energy actually comes from our emotions. Yeah, that's interesting. So really and truly, right? When we want to pump up ourselves, etc., we need to refocus our minds. We need to do some calisthenics, whatever it is call it, with our minds and not necessarily with our body, because that's what will um, really give us more energy. Isn't that interesting? Because for me, then, what this is saying is that when my mood is not in the right place, etc., it means that my energy levels are low. I'm not as functional as I could be, and so the more time I spend in those kinds of moods, is the less effective I'm going to be in navigating life, through life. So if I'm constantly doubtful, if I'm constantly negative, if everything that I see uh, comes with some kind of a negative situation, some kind of a negative implications, and those are the emotions that I dwell upon. It means that I am actually stifling my progress. It means that I am actually um, putting myself in a situation where I'm not being the best that I could be, and so every thought, and we're going to go there actually. Every thought, every word, every deed matters, because it actually does something to the flow of energy through your body. And that also then has implications for how effective we are, whether we are calm, whether we are tense, how we relate to others. And as we will see, the energy thing is not just about us. We will talk about it. The way we can see that this energy issue is like when you throw a stone, um, like in a pond, and you can see the ripple effects. That's what happens. It actually spreads and spreads and spreads and impacts everything else. Kind of scary because it has then implications for our um, responsibility. That's just basically what it is. but Andrew will talk about this, the whole of self-efficacy and the whole of all of those kind of things. It has a for accountability, because what is it that we are rippling out? That's a question that we have to look at. So when we're talking about living a peaceful life, it's not just about us. It's the impact that we are having on each other. Okay, I hope this is going somewhere for somebody. So let us look at this whole question then about vibes, which I'm going to move on now and started to call it this emotional energy and the whole question of relationships. And here it is. It's very, very clear. Um, you know, this lady Donna Levy, I think she got married afterwards. So there's another name, Healer's Trilogy. What she's saying is that each and every one of us brings energy to. I want to talk. We clearly we know that the vibes in the office matter to the co-workers. We know that what's happening at home with us matter to loved ones. But listen to this line, that even to the stranger in the line behind us. So our vibe, our emotional energy is going to affect somebody who may be even socially distanced behind us in a grocery that we don't know, probably never see again. Interesting, interesting. So, um, what does that mean for us? What does that really mean in terms of happiness, in terms of living in peace, in terms of enjoying our lives? It means that I could go to the grocery and Brother Andre in front of me can do something that would either lift me, lift my spirit, or put me in another situation. So he could, you know, greet the cashier in a nice way and say something pleasant, and the cashier laughs, and I remember, get the good joke myself, and I'm laughing, and I forget that, you know, I just had to change three fat tires, and whatever. Boom, it changes me. So therefore, when I go to the cashier, I reinforce the joke, and we're leaving. What? That's one. Or why are you taking so long? Well, well, fine. You don't see your charger rang up there. Okay. When I get to the cashier, I am going to triple check my bill, make sure, so I'm in attention now to find out, is this a cashier that went to steal my money? That vibe, right? I go outside now with that kind of tension. Guy that come to clean the windshield. No, yeah, it's just build up. Man by drive, man. By the time so can we see the ripple effect? Um, that's the vibe. Sometimes when I go through these things, it's the same thing with the scriptures. Sometimes you don't really want to read them, because it puts such an awesome responsibility on you. Because when you understand this, you know, and you feel like, what it feel like? Boy, I feel like I could have, yeah, what I feel like? You have to put it back in your pocket, That feel like, because that feel like doesn't only affect you or that individual right there, it could have, not only could, it does have an implication for all of us.
Brother Smith?
Oh, please, brother, help me write this because I am. I have to stop and look at my life and wonder why have I been so terrible. Go on, brother.
Um, and I guess not only me, but I'm certain that there are other folks who can talk about the effects of um, not only how we feel, but how we pass it on to others. When we laugh and have a good belly full of laugh, and even somebody don't want to laugh, but then decide them all laugh too because they're not having a good day. Just because you laugh, um, and even if you're criticized, and the look on your face, if you decide to smile instead of frown, look at what it is also doing to the body and the impact it has on someone else who is not into that mood, and might even say, "Oh, you can't laugh." One of the things that I was accused of, and I'm still accused of that, is oh, me laugh too much, right? Right? And you know, it has served me well, put it that way. I mean, literally, even I did a little radio thing, and people literally recognize me, not how I look, but by my laughter. I'm at Pegasus eating, and I'm a laugh out, and somebody talking to me, I laugh out on the phone, and somebody come over to me and said to me that if it's me, do that program on the radio, whatever. And I'm saying yes. And they recognize by my laughter. And that's all I'm saying here. And it's not about me, but I'm just saying our laughter, it is infectious. And I'm using it infectious in a good way. but it is infectious. And the more we get into just being not only pleasant, but laughing and feeling good, and people, we're not saying it's going to replace people's pain, but sometimes it's a good um, um, deflection, if I can use that word. um, you know, and for folks just to think into the moment. Okay, um, I can enjoy myself now, because worrying about what I cannot change is not going to change. What's going to change is me. It's going to change me and not the situation. So just want to um, add that in terms of how this laughter thing, and just feeling good about you, and how it can affect other persons in a positive way.
Thank you, boss. Right. So yeah, I really want us to focus on the vibration, this energy thing, because um, the science definitely, believe me, there are so many experiments that prove that mm, that there is an energy flow, and that it really is makes a difference outside of us. As a matter of fact, everything that we do, that what we're doing here now is affecting everybody else, and the how many billion people in the world. That's the reality. And so we definitely have to be very, very careful about what kinds of vibrations we are sending out. Yeah? And so the more we send out high vibration things, is it better for everybody. So yeah, do people have problems? Can they be depressed? Of course. So we're not saying that can happen, but we need to work on those things. And sometimes um, it's really just an absence of consciousness, of awareness, put it this way, in the sense that we get ourselves in a little corner, where we allow ourselves to just drift, and we encourage negative thoughts to come into our being. Yeah, when we are on top, when we are really firing, we overlook a lot of stuff. When we somehow are off kilter, we allow little things to bother us. Right? There's a famous statement that I like. The version that is that if we are in a river um, full of crocodiles or alligators, and they are around us, the mosquitoes, they don't exist. What is a mosquito? When I see that, and so that's one of the things that we have to look at is if we, a question of prioritizing how we can um, look beyond certain things and understand the implications now. That if we give in to responding negatively to the man who does back drive us in there, said, look at that thing, you know, pity, and just move on. Um, if we can get ourselves to that place of discipline, where we actually let that go, and we're not in a position now where we can't wait to go to the office to tell everybody that we meet how terrible it is on the road and how people work there. You know, that's part of the discipline that I'm suggesting that if we want to live in peace, if we want to live happily, those are some of the things that I think we need to start to take more seriously. So yeah, I think people have come now to hear about relationship with a wife and then a problem and cascas, but um, this is going to help, because if we get to a place where we are exhibiting more high energy all the time, then we will be in a better place mentally in order to exhibit joy as against sadness. Yeah. So I wanted to just ask you to step back a little bit and just check and find out really and truly. If you look at the last week, I'm going to ask you to do a little exercise in a little while as well, but just think about it. Um, are we, what kind of trajectory are we on? Are we in a trajectory where our vibe really is not a positive vibe? We kind of just, this COVID thing or whatever it is, just get under the skin and we're just kind of just angry and everything is a problem. And, you know, everybody is a problem and so on. Look at that. What message am I sending out, you know, when I interact with somebody on the phone or on Zoom or whatever it is? What am I saying? What am I sending out? So I'm going to move on that a little bit. So similar concept is our presence. So our presence, if we think about our presence, is the energy that we emit. So that again is the same concept about the vibe, if you want to look at, but let us use more technical term here. All right. So our presence actually is going to determine the kinds of relationships that we have with others. Just think about it. You know, if you are in a romantic relationship, how did that come about? Did it come about because the person turned you off? Just never, the presence wasn't appealing? No, you were drawn to that. That's it. If we look at whatever group that we are in, whatever environment we are in, if it is a church, it's drawn to some people more than to others, unfortunately. But that's part of the reality. Some people don't do as well in many circumstances. So you will have someone, for example, who is saying, you know, nobody talks to me, nobody, you know, um, yeah, communicates with me. And not to be harsh, but to be real, is that in some instances you have to question what kind of vibe have you been sending? What kind of presence have you been making available to others? So that's something that you have to think about, right? That the reality is that um, well, let's go back to schools, sports, or whatever, picking teams, whatever sport it is, whatever game that you're going to play. Um, how do you pick who you want on the team? You know, let us say you are the captain. When you choose, there's some mechanism for choosing, right? It's not just random. It's not alphabetical. It is real that you actually, there is some attraction. There is something about the person why you want them on your team, and that is important for us. Again, the overall picture that we're looking at is living in peace. How do we find a way to have great relationships, harmonious relationships? And so that is important. Yeah, we definitely send out vibes, and um, just think about it. Just think about it. Just look at your circle and how you got to be there. Did you look for the person that is most off-putting to say, well, okay, fine, you know, I want you to be my best friend? But what about you? Are you sending out the kind of signals where people want to say, yes, I want Brother Grinnell on my team? Or are they saying, Trevor, you're mad? No way. No, you're mad. No. better me dead first. No. No. So that's it. If you know, you have the thing, if this is the last person on earth, yeah, all I'm saying is that we have a responsibility. It goes back to a lot of things that we say in these sessions, is that we can fix us, we can fix others. And today, this evening, what we want to look at is really looking at us. What is it that we can do about us in order to enhance relationships generally, in relationships with our loved ones, relationship with people generally. And if we can enhance the quality of relationships, then we're going to be living in peace a lot more. So that's where we want to go. That's why we want to focus on that. So my suggestion is that we should be the type of person that we would like to attract to ourselves. There's a statement that we make from time to time to say, if you see something missing, fill that gap. Don't better go around complaining, etc. We're at church, okay, nobody is doing whatever. Go do it now. Go do it. Fill the gap. Fill the gap. Wherever you see something is missing, fill the gap. Stop complaining. Do something about it. So if you want to attract, you want people of a certain kind, and I know we have um, young ladies who have some very, 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 and I endorse it, some very, very clear guidelines as to the kind of man that they would like to have in a relationship. Long lists, checklists. um, and believe me, anybody who has been into my sessions where we talk about the premarital relationships, etc., will know that my checklist is even more stringent. But I love that. But the key, though, is that you need to look at that list and to say, if there was a man, gentleman, who fit these criteria, what kind of woman would he want to have? Am I that kind of woman? What is it that I would have to do in order to attract that kind of person? And that's just a romantic relationship, but we can do it with anything. What kind of friend? If I want a friend who I can talk to and be open and be myself and share my all of my deep secrets and be motivated and encourage me and so on. Am I that kind of friend? Am I that kind of friend? That's the question that we have to do. So whatever it is that we want from a relationship, model that in our behavior. That's the vibe that we want to send out. That's the energy that we want to send out. So, little exercise. We don't always have an exercise here, but let us have an exercise. Oh, I have to watch my time too. All right. So, I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to ask you to reflect on 5 people that you interacted with this week. Just 5. And not friends or family, just anything. Anybody that you interacted with. And what kind of presents did you present to them? What kind of vibe then did you send out? And what did you get in return? Maybe we can do 5. But let us just think about any random relationship. And I would love if we can just open the mic. Anybody? I don't want to pick on anybody, but I'd love for somebody to open the mic and just share an encounter that you had with someone and just see if you can talk about the different vibes, or whether it was the same or not. The vibes that were at play in that relationship. Anybody? When I ask 2 or 3 of you, you just come on, Mike, and just let's talk about that. Somebody that you had an encounter with, and just share the vibes that that you identified on both sides. I don't want to have to call on somebody.
I
All
want
right,
to try.
go ahead.
Um, Actually, I went to Paymaster one day this week, and when I say afternoon to the person supposed to deal with my transaction, she didn't look at me. She was really, really sad and down. And then I almost reacted to her based on how she looked. Then I said, apparently she wanted to be uplifted this morning. So I'm not going to make her expression be the reaction to my vibes. So, I try and be as pleasant as I could. And she said, sir, I'm sorry, but you don't have the exact address, and this London alone won't do. So I have to check it, and then I got it. And she said, sir, I need to know the exact money that was sent to you. I said, the person didn't say that. Oh, just put down the money. I said, all right, no worries, whatever you want, just let me know. And she said, all right, just put the money. I said, okay.
Wow, I lost you. Not hearing you. Am I only one? Andre, you can hear me still?
Can't hear him either. Can't hear him either.
Okay.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. All right. So I think his internet went. So can we have another one other person? Just quickly, if anybody had another encounter. You're back, Brother G. I see Mike back again.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, comment.
Okay, I had an encounter.
Sorry. Yeah,
I had an encounter this week with my son. He had to go to Miami I live in the States, and he had to go to Miami for a business meeting. He told me he was going, and he asked me a couple of questions. He was in my house on Sunday. He said, he just came up and he started talking. He said, I have to go to Miami on Tuesday and Wednesday to work. He's managing his children. He's now divorced, so he's managing his children part-time. So he said, I have to go to Miami to work. I can bring the children down to you Monday evening, and you take them to school Tuesday morning for me. Or you can come over and sleep in my house and just take them to school, because they live about 45 minutes from where I live. So I turned around and I said, are you asking me to do something for you? And no, I figured that hearing this tonight, that was not the way to do it. But he comes at me like that all the time, because he's such an angry young man, and I don't know what else to do. But I didn't make it any, I don't think I made it any better for him, because I could have given him an answer that he was looking for, although he didn't ask a question. I figured that it's my right. And then I've heard this in the class before. You can't keep fighting the same battle. Some things you have to just let it go. And I didn't let this one go. I fought it, and I think that wasn't in the best interest of either of us, because a big flare start. This was Mother's Day, and it wasn't nice. So
boy.
I was at fault there. Was I at fault? I should ask that. Was I wrong to say?
It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the circumstances. Sometimes there's not, that moment might not have been a teachable moment, but yeah. But sometimes, as you say, you might also have to put a halt to a situation that continues to be negative. Yeah. So yeah, you'd have to understand a lot of parameters around the situation before you can just make a call like that as to whether you're right or wrong. But yeah, but there's a learning from it, and you have taken some learning from it. I can do one quick one more. Anybody else? That I just want you to be conscious of the vibes, and that's why I want to do this. If you are alert, in other words, this is part of the self-awareness, right? That we talk about all the time.
So, my personality, as you talk about vibes and energy, that's me. I like to bring vibes to people, because sometimes I'm very jovial. So I made a call I actually didn't meet the person who was on the phone. I made a couple of calls to a few business places, but I think two of these I spoke with when they answered, and I introduced myself. As a matter of fact, they both introduced themselves first. And then I say who I am. And then I'm like, okay, how are you? And, thanks for asking and so on. I love that, And then sometimes you go further with the conversation. And then I guess the energy or the vibes, at the end of the conversation, I felt like I got somewhere, because after the reason for me calling her, or the ladies rather, I got my information. But you know, the end of it, I say, oh, have a beautiful day. You know that, and the vibes and the energy and how they respond to me, I get it for them energy, and for them vibes. Oh my gosh, enjoy that. I hope that helped it based on what you're talking about.
Okay, fine. As long as you're aware. Yeah, the whole idea is part of the self-awareness that we have been talking about. That we have to understand what's going on inside us, because that's part of where the unmet needs and which is what we call in conflict and so on. All of that. If you're off kilter, just we know it. We know the days. People call it bad hair day or whatever it is. We know the times when we're just not there. When there's a warning, rain set up emotionally. So we know those days, etc. And so what we want to encourage is that too many persons are ignoring those signals, just haven't stopped to think about the fact that we can in fact pick up signs as to when rain is going to fall. And we don't have to get our clothes wet. We can do something about it. And emotionally, that's the same thing. We don't have to go and bite our tongue afterwards, say what we shouldn't have said. We don't have to get get into trouble and then go and rule the problem. We can, in fact, predict a lot of it and be in a position to do something about it. And so that's where we want to go with this. Why we are spending time looking at the internals, because it is the internals that eventually come out. And the scriptures talk about that. All right. So where are we on that now? Okay. So there is this guy, Mark Brackett, wrote a book called Permission to Feel. Very interesting stuff. And he has this concept of a ruler. He calls it a ruler curriculum. He wants to teach people to manage their emotions. And he has this idea, this acronym, ruler, recognition, understanding, labeling, expressing, and regulating. So these three skills, the ability to recognize what's going on in terms of our emotions, and understanding them, labeling them, those help us to identify. And when we say identify, there is a depth. We're going to go there. I'm watching the time. We're going to go there, hopefully, but if we don't get it done in this session, we'll get it done in the next. I don't want to rush through these things because this is so fundamental. This could actually make a huge difference, not only to your life, my life, but to life, people's life generally, if we can actually start to send out the right vibes. All right. So the first three actually helps us to identify the problems, the emotions, and to understand them better, label them correctly, which is a big problem. And then these other two now tells you how to deal with them. So it's one thing to know I'm experiencing this, is another thing to deal with it. Yeah. And dealing with it needs for you to be able to express it. And we talk about what that means, and also to regulate it. All right. So the first one is recognizing emotions. Yeah. If we can manage, if we can identify our emotions, it's going to damage us emotionally, maybe also physically. It's just going to impact our whole well-being, our whole being. Yeah. So we talk about it. Self-awareness. We talk about it. We emphasize that we need to know, and we say, please, when that little feeling, that little niggling, that little something that don't feel so right, stop, and find out why. Where am I? Yeah. 1 minute I'm up or whatever, and then suddenly there's a dark cloud emotionally over me. Why? Where that cloud coming from? What has caused it? Try, just spend the time, and believe you me, over time, I don't say that I'm there, but I'm working on it, and eventually we're gonna get better and better at it. And so I'm just suggesting though that we start that process of self-awareness by being in touch with our emotions. Yeah. And what we can do is the history, We can look at the last time. Just go back the last time we fly off the handle. What led up to it? The last time we, were really very nice to our in-laws. What led up to it? That's all I'm just saying. Right? So yeah, this co-worker that abused us, or well, not, I wouldn't say abuse, but really and truly, we're always at loggerheads. What led up to the day that we actually went and found a way, a key to unlock a healthy relationship? What is it? So I don't want to only look at when we have problems. I want to look at also when we had great successes. Let's just do some history. Just check up what it is so that we can actually see. And the whole idea again is the triggers. We're going to talk about triggers. All right. We're going to talk about a lot of things. All right. Express. Somebody's asking what is the E? Express. All right. Recognize, understand, label, express, regulate. So that's it. So we also need to be able to identify the emotions, and that's where all of this big thing now about emotional intelligence. That's where this resides. That which our social intelligence is another part. Is how do we identify what's happening? There's a nice phrase that people put around it now to say, okay, this person is tone deaf or whatever. What that really means is that, hey, can't you see that? What I'm trying to say to you, I want to leave. I want to go. I want the conversation to end. Can't you see the hint? So you're in my office and you just want to talk to me, and I have no close my file. I have no push back my chair. I have no stood up. I'm walking to the door and you still sit down there chat of it. Sorry. Can't you? Do I have to pull you out of your chair and say to you, this meeting is over? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Pick up the signs, man. Pick up the signs. So that's part of what it is. So here we go, pick up other people's emotions. It's going to help conversations. It's going to help us to collaborate, to work more, better together. We're going to have better relationships. Pick up when I'm really not so ready for a conversation right now, or for that kind of conversation. So really being able to recognize our emotions as the way we are, that's where you have to start from. And then being able to pick up what's going on with the other persons, that's going to make a huge difference. Yeah. And feeling the inability to either pick up where we are, so we are in a bad state mentally. Why do we want to go and have that conversation that we know might cause a fly off, etc.? Yeah. Okay. So, Sister Carmen, I'm going to be very naughty. I'm not saying that that is the situation, but I'm going to use yours. So let us say that you were bubbly, you just, read the scriptures, just pray, just sing a game, you're happy, whatever it is. When his son says that to him, you will probably, say, okay, fine, whatever. But maybe that day, in that little moment, you were kind of little edgy, and you say, why this boy don't just, what he thinks? I'm a slave, I'm a servant, So that's could be. Understand what I'm saying? So sometimes, if we are a little understanding that might be a tense situation, a potential situation, and given where I am right now, I'm going to watch myself. I'm going to make sure that whatever happens, I'm just going to make it pass, because if I open my mouth, it might actually get into a flare up. That's what I mean by both sides. So yeah, that's the concept.
Yeah, that would have been a better way for me to handle that moment.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just wanted to use your thing. I'm not saying that that was the real thing, but
No,
in a
that's okay.
situation like that, it could be. Yeah.
And if I had done that, things would not have escalated because I knew what he wanted. He just didn't ask, he didn't come and say, "Ma, I need your help." Just come and ordering me around, and I'm tired of that.
Exactly. Yeah. But what I'm saying, if you had just sung a hallelujah chorus
Yeah.
and you probably would have said, watch this again. It's all right. It's all right, boss.
Yeah.
Drive safely. So, peace. And yeah, so that's what I mean. When we are in touch with both sides, with where we are and where the other person is, it gives us the possibility of having having more harmony, right? Even if it means that at the end of the day, oh my gosh, am I being taken advantage of? Also, those are some of the things that you might have to address ultimately. But yeah, okay, I think that is clear. All right. So this is a strange chart. Let me tell you why I put up this chart. One of the things that, as you go through the literature and start to look at these things, one point that people make is that there is a major problem with being able to label. I suppose that's where the thing is, to understand our emotions. Is that if you talk to people, the standard thing is, sorry, I'm all right, I'm blessed. So we just use some quick things. And I give the joke that, anyhow, somebody says to you, so how are you? Well, let me tell you now. So you see, yesterday I was in a little situation where I was wandering and my mind, and I wasn't feeling so comfortable. But then towards the middle of the day, my mood changed and I was feeling a little bit better. And then in the evening, sorry, where you going? Nobody wants to hear that. The next time they see you, then definitely not saying we're going to say good morning, Trevor. There's no way I'm going to ask you how are you, because and that's it. That's part of it. Yeah, it's amazing. Sorry, let me go back here. That we're afraid of expressing our emotions, and nobody really wants to hear it. So we also get to a place. It's not just whether they're hearing it or not. It's really, for us, it's safer, maybe. I don't know if there's a feeling. We tend to suppress. That's the bottom line. And so we have lost the vocabulary to express the thing. So what this does, you can check it out. This James Russell. It's online. A mood meter that talks about a lot more of the terms that we can use to express. And what he call it a meter is that emotions can be defined, measured, classified on the basis of the extent of the energy that is being displayed and the degree of pleasantness. So we're in a situation where you have high energy and low pleasantness. For example, the person is enraged. When last have you told somebody that I was enraged? I was livid. Man, that boy, I was fuming. Yes. So that is it. And then the other spectrum, where it's high energy and high pleasantness, man, that was ecstatic. I went to Nav Life, and trust me, I was so elated. Man. Good. Yeah, so that's what that meter is about. So we can start to use these terms. So when somebody asks you, how are you feeling? You could actually use some of this stuff. Yeah. I was touched. I really was touched. I felt fulfilled. Yeah. Those are good words to use. All right. So here is another set that talks about, just looking at it again, still understanding, where we look at love and what love means, and then the manifestations, different terms to describe it. Yeah. Engel says, I only know saying fine. That's me too, brother. Sometimes not even fine is okay. I'm all right. Okay, thanks. No. Let's expand our vocabulary. So I want you to get the mood meter, Russell mood meter, and start to talking those things. Or here, the joy, amusement, contentment. So yeah, don't want to spend a lot of time. I want you to actually go and check this out though, to see if we can in fact start to express ourselves a little bit more. Let me tell you why it's important. I haven't put it in here, but there was a study. UCLA has this lab that they do stuff with, and so fear of spiders. Um, the what they gave two groups. So they had the spiders in a cage, big, terrible spiders, and the test. There are multiple parts of the test, but one of the tests was the one set got coaching in terms of expressing their fear, and another didn't. Right. So the people who got the coaching actually got one of the measures is that they got closer to the spiders than the other set. So what it suggests is by expressing the fears and labeling it and speaking about it in a fulsome way, enables you to better handle the fear, better handle the emotion. So that is something as well. So that instead of closing down and not expressing ourselves fully in terms of our emotion, and just saying fine, when really and truly, you know what? Let me go find one of the words. Oh man, sorry. What is a good word? Well, let me tell you the truth, because I felt disheartened. I really felt disheartened, you know, because I tried so hard to get this done, and man, the level of exhaustion, it was overwhelming. Yeah, and something, I just felt all alone. There was nobody there to help me. Um, yeah. At the end of that discourse, are you better able to find out where you were, what it is that uh, you were covering up when you say, "Oh, I'm all right, man. It's all right. It's all right, man. My back's tough. We can deal with things." Is that um, a better approach? And so, just want to encourage you to do that. So the labeling, right? Key. So we're talking about here is clear language. If you label, if you are clear about what it is that you're feeling, you can make sense of it. So like the case that I just gave you, where I felt disheartened. Okay, I felt alone, I felt fatigued. Okay, so maybe if I'm fatigued, maybe I can get some rest. I understand the disappointment that comes from the disheartening thing, but this is not life alone. I can actually bounce back from that. So immediately I'm in a position to know how to deal with the problem that I just had. But if I just cover it over and just say, well, boy, why never work out? But I'm all right. I'm cool, man. That, you know, not a big thing that. No. You're still in the place because in the back of your mind is you still have that problem. So, man, sometimes you read these things, if you ever see the language of the writing here, but of this study. So what this study is saying is that deficits in emotional clarity. What does it mean? The incapacity to talk about how you feel. That's what that really means. Right? Our difficulties identifying which emotion you feel are increasingly associated with multiple forms of psychopathology. What that means is that when we look at problems that we have in terms of psychological issues, the incapacity to talk about it to yourself or to anybody else in clear terms lead to these situations. And that's what this study shows. So let us jump down to this. So they actually did this study, but so forget that. Depression, symptoms of depression, social anxiety, brother answered about borderline personality, binge eating, alcohol use, but also not anxious arousal or restrictive eating. So that's basically it. So what this study is saying is that your failure to be able to speak clearly about what is happening to you inside can lead to these kinds of things. So the bottle up don't work. The fine, I'm okay. Yeah, my back strong. No, those things eventually could lead to some of these factors here. Among that. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. So what we're talking about, we're still talking about living in peace. And you're wondering what this have to do with it? Well, if I am anxious socially, if I have, I don't know what this is, but Andre could tell you at another time. If I am depressed, if I'm abusing alcohol, um, am I in a good position to have a healthy relationship? No. So that's why this is important. We go into the underpinning. I don't know. I am moved by this. I'm touched by this. Dear brother. All right. So expressing emotions. So we have a tendency, as we have been saying, to hide our emotions and to suppress them. Here is the same bracket. This guy with the ruler thing is saying, sorry, somebody in the chat. Let me just take a quick look. Can you ask a question? Yes, if it's directly related to this, go ahead, Siri. You have rights based on your.
Mr. Smith, may I ask you something? I'm the type of person, me like talking, you know. And if I have an issue with somebody, I try as much as possible to see if I can talk calmly and in an amicable manner, right? Now, you mentioned if you don't express yourself, you can have these different situations happening, which depression, etc. But what if you see, um, you want to express you can talk to other people and feel a little better. But what if you want to talk to the party that you're having the issue with, and then I know somebody you can talk to, really the person might say, okay, we can talk about anything. But when you want to when you actually start speaking to the person, is an attitude or them things there. How do you deal with stuff like that? And then when you get that reaction from the person, sometimes you might feel worse. Just saying how you deal with that.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not talking about persons who are introverts, because I'm not.
Okay. All right. Might not might not deal with this instance, right? But remember, everything is a two-way street, right? Remember. But there are some, and there are some cases. There's one of the, I was reading something today that was suggesting that the author was saying that you need to pick up the energy that's coming from an individual. Yes, and there are ways of picking it up, etc. And what she's saying is that sometimes the signals, what you pick up, suggests to you that this is, if I want to call it a lost cause, this is not going to happen. This is not a relationship that you should pursue. And one of the signs that she's saying is you can pick it up in your eyes, etc. But you just kind of know too that, not every relationship is going to work out. Not every relationship is going to be harmonious. There's no question at all about it. So one of the things that, maybe I'm not answering the question right now, but there can be circumstances in which you have to cut your losses and understand what you can't fix. Not every relationship is going to work out, because relationships are two-way street. So you could be nicest, you could put out all of the right energies, but if the other person is putting out low frequency, low vibration energy, then it might not work. So that's not an answer to your question. If Brother Andre want to answer it now, but I would prefer to handle this, go down this road before, because that is a very long answer, because it depends on the people, it depends on the circle, it depends on so many different things. But I just wanted to just put a pin there to just suggest to you that all of what we're doing here, all of this nice thing that we're talking about here, at the end of the day, there are still going to be some situations that just not work out. Yeah.
Brother Smith,
Go ahead, boss.
not necessarily an answer, but I just want to lend something that that possibly can support not only what you have been sharing, but also the mindset of um, the kind of mindset that we must have whenever we're having conversation with folks, even if even if we find that we might be having some kind of conflict as far as that conversation piece is concerned. There are some things that we need to recognize that we can own, and there are some things that we must recognize that we cannot own. So what is mine? My awareness of my inner life, that's mine. And my inner life would include my beliefs, my thoughts, my feelings, my decisions, my choices, my experiences, my wants and needs, my unconscious, my unconsciousness almost. I might not be fully aware of what I'm doing in the moment, in the time, but I still have to take responsibility for it notwithstanding. I also have to recognize that my behavior is mine, that my responsibility to make my life successful and joyful is also mine. And so, but the converse is equally true. Although the next person has those things too, and they own it. And we shouldn't try to own what the other person owns. And so sometimes we get ourselves in conflict because we want to tell the other person to have what we have, or to respond in a similar way that we are responding, or to have the same kind of thinking. We oftentimes treat people from our point of reference and want them to relate to us from our point of reference, as if to say they do not have one also. So I just want to put that out there.
Brilliant stuff, boss. Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. Can control or we can control. So anyway, back to this expression and why we hide it and suppress it. Brackett did this study. 5,000 school teachers. I'm sorry, I always take off my hat to school teachers. Anybody who teach, trust me, whether it's school or whatever, the teachers have a problem. Anyway, 70% of the emotions were negative when they did this study. However, in the public, when you ask a teacher, oh no, no man, I love it. It's a great profession. I'm so happy. Lie to themselves. So that's part of it. Why is that? Fear, all sorts of other factors. You don't want to get into why we hide our emotions. But the problem is that when we repress the emotions, it just compounds it and it intensifies it. Yeah. So if we go back, and this is interesting, when we look at emotions, if you kind of think about it, just break it up, it's actually emotion, energy, emotion. So this is something that's supposed to flow, literally. So the idea behind an emotion is it's not a permanent state. The idea is that the emotion, something you have an experience, and you have the emotion, and you let it go, and another experience comes. It's not a permanent state. So if we are happy, okay, fine. Have this great experience. We can hold on to it forever. Another one will come. So there's a constant flow of emotions that's taking place. All right. So we need to understand that. And whether you can hold on to the happiness, we don't tend to want to do that because we say chicken Mary hawk is near, but we actually hold on to the hawk is near. When the hawk is near, we don't make the hawk go away. But when the chicken Mary, we say, watch out, the hawk will come. But while the hawk is there, the hawk looks like he's permanently fixed. He's not going anywhere. So we always look at the negative things and to figure that, oh my gosh, look at my life. I'm so sad. Oh, what can I do? Right? Give me one more sentence, Andrea. And this is, you're going to talk about the hawk. One more sentence, and then I will, when I say one more, these 2 points, and then I'd let you speak. So I see your hand, Andrea. All right. So expressing the emotions is not venting. That's not what we mean. It's not that you must, vent or act it out, or everybody you see, you tell them how bad Andrea treat me. But I believe you, me, everything, da, da, da. So, this is not about it. Really and truly, you don't even have to be verbalizing what's going on. The key would be to get yourself mentally to a vulnerable space, a space where you understand where you are and you are prepared to let somebody see, whether it is a trusted person or not, what's really going on inside. That's what it really means to express your emotions, is to get to a place where you haven't done all of the ones already, by the way, you recognize it, you understand it, you label it, and now you're at a point now where you are willing to not suppress it anymore, not to hide it, not to put it into fancy language, but to get to a place now where somebody could actually ask you and you could actually say, let me tell you the truth. I'm doing this job because that's how I have to earn my pay. But really, if it wasn't for students and so, I wouldn't do it because it is thankless. I feel used. I just, I go home and I just try to shut it down, shut it off. But it's a thankless job. I really don't feel good about it. That's the kind of thing what I'm saying. And that you could actually share. And then don't be concerned that somebody might say, what? But I thought you love it. And I look up to you. And but I wonder if you're transferring that to your student. Nobody worry about that. Get to the place where you can actually have the conversation. That's what the expression, as I understand it, means. It's not venting, it's not dumping on everybody, but it has to get to a place where, having recognized it, having understood it, having labeled it properly, using that fancy chart, I now get to a place where I can say, something, I'm prepared to accept this reality, that I'm doing this, all of what I'm talking about in terms of saying I love it and I blah, blah, blah. No. If I could do otherwise, if I didn't have to let down the students, I would be out. Press pronto. Andrea, go ahead.
And good evening.
Hi.
I'm just sharing where energy is concerned. Sometimes you pick up a negative energy from someone, and first, what I tend to do is like examine me to say whether or not it was an energy flow from me or what. And then I approach the person and then I'll say, I pick up a negative energy from you and blah, blah, blah. But what I tend to use, I use the Bible. I said, well, the Bible said, if you think that someone offended you, you should go to them and sort it out. So I want to know, why am I getting this energy from you? Could you share? And sometimes it work out. Maybe sometimes it's something that I had said, but wasn't aware that it affects the person and that person may share. And then you could clarify to say, oh, when I said that, I didn't even know that you were going through something, that it appears that I was, what I said affects you, and sometimes the energy flow, you get a different vibe from all that. So what I try to do is because I believe the Lord said that we should do unto others as we would like them to do unto us. So what I tend to do, whatever I do, is how I would like someone to treat me. That's how I live my life. It's not perfect, and sometimes you get some negative feeling or negative vibes just for being you. But I always said, I'm just being me. I'm not going to try to please someone. And, so you have to evaluate the vibes that you give out. And I just want to share.
No, I appreciate it.
Because I do believe in what you're saying with the energy. A lot of people don't know that it's an energy, and this energy leads you to greatness and to goodness. You understand? Once you get to talk to it and know it.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate the sharing, honestly, and the fact that you are willing to try to sort it out. That's one of the things. If because sometimes if we take early action, and the same thing. If we find, remember, the bad hair there inside, something's not all right with us, But you can also pick it up in a relationship. You could see that's something that's all right, that this person starting to avoid you or whatever it is. Then you could have a conversation, you know, carefully, diplomatically approach and trying to see if you can find out whether there's an issue or not. And the person might say, no, there's not really an issue, da, 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 da. But yeah, that's good to take action to sort it out as well. All right. Impact of inappropriate expressions of emotions, right? So when I look at this, I actually wanted to just read this because it is, for me, really powerful. Um, so it's pretty scary, actually. When we contribute to a shift in another person's energy, either positively or negatively, it actually affects humanity. You see this?
Yeah.
It affects humanity on a much larger scale. That, man, that's that to me is mega. So the responsibility that we have is that, oh boy, as I said earlier, it's like throwing the rock in the lake. You know, we used to do it as children, where you try and skip it across the water, and you kind of see it going, and then there's the ripple effect. If you just throw a stone in there, you can see ripples going out. That's basically our behavior. So everything we say or do does matter, and so we have a lot more power than most of us realize. So the careless words, the careless thought, the fly off the handle quickly, the failure to um, respond positively to others. It's mega. It's mega. It's affecting humanity on a larger scale. So the advice here is to choose to be more self-aware. See, come up again, Brother Andre. Self-awareness is so important. And really stop and think about our words, our actions, and our attitudes. When? Before. Remember, rain set up. Remember before the triggers that comes up all the time. So before we combine our energies with the energies of others, because that's when you start to have the titan, the bomb, hydrogen bomb, where my negative energy link up with yours and then boom, explosion. So some questions for you. Are we communicating things that are really meaningful and necessary? Let's think about our conversations. What kind of conversation? What are we just sharing negative stuff? Forward, forward, forward. Every forward is a negative. Somebody crashes or somebody dead. This one. When is the last time we said something to say, there's a story about this lady who single-handedly raised 6 children and all of them have PhD. I don't understand. What do we look underneath for things to say, what, this forward. This text that I'm sending here could potentially change somebody's day. And that person's day could impact 5 other people. And that could spread. And so let us do some more work in terms of what we're sending out. What is it that we're thinking? See, attitude is there, So it's not only what we do, it's what is going on in our heads. So do our words and behaviors build people up, or are we tearing down? Why government? Yeah. So let's be thoughtful and considerate of the lives of those around us and bring the positive energy to each one that we all deserve. So what it is, uh, Sister Gail just said that you want to do for others. So if you want positive energy, put out positive energy. All right. So drawing down. It's another day that we have to beg for 5 minutes. But then we started late, so I can use that as an excuse. I don't need an excuse. I can just ask politely, may I have 5 minutes, please, for some question and answers when you finish. All right. So regulating is a big one. And because if we can do this, believe you me, we walk on water, right? Anybody who can perfectly regulate their emotions is superstar. But bear in mind, again, it's not about suppressing them. It's fully accepted them to say, yes, this is what is happening to me. Yes, I'm an educator, but believe you me, it's not a, work of love anymore. But I also know how to get to a place now where when I have to learn to live with it. Yes, Jesus can help. I agree, Sherry. So yeah, so the question of doing all of the things, right? Recognizing, understanding, labeling, yes, expressing. And now we are at a point now where we're just saying, okay, this is where we are. How can I live with this reality in a productive way? What can I do in order to move forward productively? Because that's what it is about. And a quick note, by the way, on this whole question of the emotions, I had to stick this in, is that little children do not know, even adults, some of us don't know how to regulate our emotions, let alone little children. And so there's this concept of co-regulation that we have to teach them. We have to help them get along. So when the tantrum is being shown, maybe what is an expression that maybe is a time for hug or distraction or etc. They're not ready. So the big belt not really going to help. They're not ready yet. And what you have to do is to be the model of how you want them to handle negative situations, their emotions. So when you're ready, and get angry and throw your adult tantrum, yes, what you tell the neighbor or what you tell the person on the phone or the taxi man who cut in front of you, little child in the back, understand that that is how you must deal with things. You know, when you're angry, you just say anything that come out your mouth. That's the responsibility that we have. That's why I tell you sometimes when you go through these things, you really you really feel nervous because no, you can't claim that this is not front and center in your mind. No, you know your responsibilities. And so that's part of what it is. So how do we actually deal with it? The steps would be, again, triggers, identify. What is it that prompts, caused this emotion? What is it that led up to this emotion? What are the circumstances that led up to them? And if we know and can pick up the trends, then we can know that when these things come up, then expect this emotion to follow. So we can actually start to anticipate when it's going to happen and take corrective action. So if you can't stop it, then you need to develop coping mechanisms. And some of them are physical, some of them maybe you need to go to sit down and get some work done with Brother Andre. But some basic ones could be the breathing, focus on your breathing. Also physical change, whether it is get up, move, walk. As I say, the physiological change also has to be, will impact your mental change. Then distract yourself the same way that we distract the like a child that is throwing the tantrum. We can find some things to distract. So we know when that is going to happen. Let us go, listen to some YouTube, do something, I don't know, whatever it is. We have dealt with elsewhere, in the previous sessions, talking about changing the environment. So if this scenario is what causes this emotion to come and we do not want to have that emotion, then let us make sure that we don't find ourselves into that environment anymore, or we change the circumstances there. And then if all of that failed, you have to change the mindset. You have to just learn to accept it. Yeah. One example is that the neighbor played music loud and you want sleep at night, and the more you toss and fuss and whatever it is, you really can't do anything about it. One study shows that the key to actually dealing with it is to start to listen to the music. That's what you're saying. You try to get the lyrics, find out what is what I'm, and you're saying that immediately, not immediately, but that's when you drop asleep. Seriously, there's a case like that talks about it. That one secret, and that's what we call a change in mindset. So instead of fussing about it, say, man, woo, music, boss. Yeah, let me get it. Try listen to some of the lyrics, and then, yeah, you're gone off. So you might beat up yourself. So sometimes you might just have to just change your mindset. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I'm going to yield, as the politicians in the States would say, yield my time and have some question and answers. Any comments, any comments at all. So we're going to open the floor for a few minutes just to look at it. Thank you, Sister Corinne. She says it's helpful, really good stuff. Please share. Again, I want to put a promotion in place to say that if this information that you're getting here is useful, our admin, maybe even now, we'll put up a link as to where we are. So if our admin is in place now, we can just share where you can actually access a replay, or if somebody wasn't able to attend, where they can actually go and get value. But we're here and we're trying to see if we can reach as many people as possible with some of these ideas. Because the reality, we just have to just listen to the news, just look at what is happening with our murder rates, with our domestic violence situation, and with people just not coping. People just not coping. So we want to look at that. But this is your time. Any comments? You can type in chat or you can mic up, etc. No? All right. So can we put in chat? Who is there? I think Engel is with me. Engel, can you help out? No. All right, hold on. I think I have it probably. Hold on. Okay. New share. Let me see. I got it. So thank you. This is, yeah. So you can use the same link for our worship service tomorrow. We go from 9 to 10:30, and then we have a Bible class at 11:15 online as well. And then on Tuesday we meet online. And there is a space. If you go to St. Andrew Church of Christ.org, I think /media, you can get all of the content that we have had. Right, it's in the chat right now. Thanks for the kind feedback. All of that is good energy, So send us some strong vibrations. People in the Middle East need it, because remember, we're global now. People in India, people in St. Vincent, send me, yeah. So when you tell me kind words like this, the ripple effect might take a little while to get there, but yeah, that's part of what it is. All right. So we're gonna roll up the shutters, roll down. What do you do with the shutters? You pull them down? Right, okay. Wow, man, that's powerful. Trust me, Alison. No, that is a vibe. She says, I truly needed this session. Thank you. Yeah. Oh. Good vibes. Good vibes. And honestly, encouraged. So, Sister Andrea, you can actually do the same now. You can invite somebody. All right. Thanks, Mara. All right. Okay. Right. Yeah. The next session is on June the 5th. June the 5th. That's the first Sunday in June. And we're going to continue along a similar line. We just have to work with the brother Andre exactly where we want to go. But we definitely want to see how people can live in peace. that is the challenge that we're facing right now, which is really, really bad. And I don't think it's necessary. And if we look at some of the history that we
That
have,
June the 6th.
huh? Fifth is the June the 5th, 05, Saturdays.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, when somebody's saying powerful stuff, even if the info makes us uncomfortable, when you're doing some of the research and the reflection, that's when the discomfort comes, and you're saying, oh yeah, but you have to share it, because even though you're guilty, and it's stepping on your own corn, you still have to share it. People who preach and are honest in their preaching and have to preach on themselves sometimes. So that's yeah, it's good to be uncomfortable, because that is where conflict, again, that's good conflict, when we are being motivated to do better, do other than what we are doing now. So yeah. All right, Brother Andre, any words?
Well, well, I mean, I would just like to say that we have a biblical concept principle that teaches us that we should let our light shine before men, that they may see our good works and come to glorify the Father who is in heaven. So we have a responsibility to do our part. I'm of the strong view, let me use that term personally now, that we can only affect change if we utilize, though, take responsibility for change personally. I hear the studies and things like that, but I mean, my studies just literally emphasize that listen, I have to. So while on one hand, I can do my part to educate and influence you and influence everybody else. How do you receive it? And sometimes if you have persons who are having their own challenges, it becomes a little bit problematic for them to receive those things. That's the sad reality. And so one of the things that I wouldn't mind looking at is also how do we manage our feelings? I do believe that, although you touched on it, that there is some more information that we can share. Absolutely. In relation to how to manage our feelings, because we can't just rely on what other people do and hope that the replay effect catch we. No, that's not good enough, actually. We have to take responsibility for what comes out of us, especially considering that God is going to judge us according to the things done in our bodies, be it good or bad. So that is what I would say on that.
Thank you. Yeah, the intention is to continue doing, especially that regulating. That's what I was saying to you, which is what you're talking about, how you deal with it. So that last R in the ruler, the regulating, how do you regulate your emotions? That's we don't touch it at all. Huh? Okay. All right. That's where we are, and thank you very much, and may God bless you. Please stay safe and show the right vibes. Show the right vibes. I'm not sure. We can ask the audience. How many persons in the audience would think that a discussion of success marriage would be relevant to all of them? Just a sufficient number. I'm just wondering, because Andre, you can jump in on that.
Success marriage.
A success marriage, whether this is a topic for Nav Life in the wider forum.
We can talk in-house and get back to the audience on that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you We're out now.
Thank you. Bye.